Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. I'd like to welcome all the Sikh channel viewers from the UK and all across the world to an exclusive interview with UFC Ultimate Fighting Championship fighter Arjun Singh Bhullar. Arjun, great to meet you. Great to have you down here in the studios. Is it first time here in the UK?
No, I've been over here several times since we've got family out this way. Obviously, the Olympics were here in 2012, and then just recently for a passing came to pay my respects.
Okay, so we're very privileged to say first Sikh, first Punjabi, first Indian UFC fighter, first one on the roster. How does that feel?
It feels good. Anytime you can be the first for something, it's always unique and special. You can make history, and create a legacy. But at the same time, I'm here to be the best. And the fact that I can be the first for my people and my community, that's the bonus.
Okay, so I want to start at the beginning of your career. So it's well documented. You come from a wrestling background. So what age did you start wrestling?
Oh, diapers. Dad wrestled before I did. So, sort of the story goes, my baba, my grandfather, immigrated over by himself in 1959 into Vancouver. And Dad enrolled into high school. Obviously different country, different people, different language, different food, but one similarity, and that was the sport of wrestling. And then, as he retired or finished up, that's when I came and I was born. My earliest memories in the sport are following my dad to his tournaments, watching him train in the Akhada.
So your dad competed as well?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, he came to the UK, US, India, all that. And then he trained the next generation, which included me.
Okay, so that's quite, that's an amazing story. Like you said, your granddad come over, emigrated, tough labour jobs, as many did from the Punjabi community. And, even those that come from a sports background, when they came over and they migrated and they integrated into society, not everybody pushed their children or their grandchildren into sport. They wanted them to be educated and in some ways have an easier life. And how was your message growing up different to that? Because as you said, from a young age, you were pushed into, not pushed into necessarily, you were encouraged into the wrestling background. So whereas other parents are telling their children, sports is not the be-all and end-all, concentrate on education, where your upbringing, as you're saying, was a bit different to that. So, what was the message from your father in regards to sports when you're growing up?
That was just the environment I grew up in. I took to that pretty naturally. I played basketball, played football, I did other sports as well.
Yep.
But the one-on-one aspect, that one-on-one battle is what drew me to wrestling, and I decided to take off in that direction when I was about grade 10. So, the other stuff I had fun with, and not only that, people and education, that was pushed on my father as well at that time, right? In that time, there were some racial problems, issues, challenges. So that played into him wanting to become big and strong and learn how to defend himself and help others.
Yeah, sure.
So, and for me, I got a full ride scholarship to a university. I got a degree in political science. So I did my education at the same time.
Yeah, okay.
It's not like the old day, they say, "Palwan dimag de mote hunde hai."
Yeah.
It's not something like that no more. So, you got to get up to date with the times. You can do it all.
Yeah, so you've told us why you got into your wrestling. So how far did you get with your wrestling? Tell us a little bit more, the viewers who don't know about your career. Olympics, Commonwealth, everything. Tell us a little bit more about your wrestling.
Yeah, so like I said, I grade 10 is kind of when I decided, hey, I don't want to do this team stuff. It doesn't matter how hard.
So what age is that? What's the...
Grade 10 is what, like 16?
Okay, yeah.
16, yeah. The team stuff doesn't matter. It didn't matter how hard I trained or worked and wanted to win. I couldn't control the result of it as much as I wanted to. So I forget this stuff. I'm doing the one-on-one. And from that year on, I won a national championship every single year of my life, except I missed 1 year, and that was grade 11. And so from high school, I went on to university, represent my university, won national titles, all that stuff, won a bronze medal at the world level, went on for Team Canada, Pan Am Games, bronze, Commonwealth Games, gold, Olympian, all that. But, that type of stuff, to be honest, that's good. That's a part of the resume. But what I learned along the way, my life lessons, experience. I traveled to over 30 countries, representing my country. Those moments, those experiences, memories made with those closest to me. That's the stuff I hold near and dear to me. The other stuff, accolades come and go.
Yeah, sure.
But that type of stuff, and then the impact you can have on other people along the way.
Yeah.
I've always tried to remember where I come from and give back where I can.
Yeah.
Because I think that lasts much longer than records. So
I mean, on the subject of that, I follow Olympics, and as many people do, opening ceremony, tune in, watch it, see who's there and what's going on, because it's always quite a spectacle. And to turn it on one year and see a Canadian with a donning of the star, with the whole team there, you've got Singh in your name, you wear a. Why did you go that step further, and why did you wear that the star? What made you want to do that?
I think you just answered the question right there. I got Singh in my name and I got a kara.
Yeah.
And I got that blood in me. So that was a natural, as that goal and that scenario was something I played over and over in my head since I was growing up. That's a pinnacle for sport, is the Olympics, for amateur sport.
Definitely.
So I'd always pictured doing that, and it was very important for me that people saw. That's what Sikhs are. Wherever you go,
Yep.
that is symbolic of a Sikh.
Distinct, yeah,
You stand
unique.
out. You embrace that, to be different. And I wanted people to know that, hey, when Team Canada marched out, there was one of our own there.
Yeah, definitely.
I felt we were able to do that.
For myself in UK and for all the Sikhs around the world, immediately as soon as you put that the start on, there's automatic connections, because the Sikh diaspora is very, very big. The Sikhs in every corner of the world, and to see one of our own, and literally, that's how we see it. Not on a Canadian, we just seen you as one of our own, as we do now when you're in the UFC, which we'll talk about a little bit later on. But you've talked about, it's in your blood and it's part of your culture. But what is it that inspires you from our history, from your Sikhi? Because in all of your interviews, you talk about Sikhi, you talk about your roots, your culture, Punjabi traditions, and above that Sikh tradition. So what is it that motivates you, keeps you going? Because, I've got limited knowledge, but I know the daily grind, waking up, training, traveling, dieting, sparring. And, what is it that keeps you going in terms of your Sikhi and your history?
Well, I've been raised with those values. It's a part of who I am. When our family immigrated at first, everyone was packed into a small house in South Van. Even now, there's over 20 of us in one house. We got 5 different families,
Yeah.
multi-generational. Obviously, it's bigger now.
Yep.
But we choose to live that way. We got a lot of love and a lot of Sikhya. You know what I mean?
Brilliant, yeah.
So I've been able to learn a lot about where we come from, my roots, and for me, I guess you can say, it is when you're getting to a high level, when you want to compete at the highest level, it takes everything you have, your physical, your mental, and your spiritual. And for me, I draw inspiration from that, from our history, from our lineage, some of the stories of our people, that allows me to go into battle with that extra edge, that I feel I need to come out on top on the other end. And for me it allows me to perform the way I need to be able to live my life the way I want to beyond the cage.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Talking about Canadian Sikhs, as you are, I'm here from England, and we see things over in Canada. We see Harjit Singh Sajjan, okay, and then recently we've seen also Jagmeet Singh, who's winning his elections and doing things, and we see yourself in UFC, which is the elite fighting championship in the world. You guys are doing such good positive things there. What is it you guys do different, because you guys are achieving so much there?
Hey, you look anywhere in the world where we're achieving great things. I heard, we got eyes on you guys too. You have an MP out of Slough over here.
Yeah, that's Tantisi.
So everyone's doing their part,
Yeah.
and it's important to get platforms like this to highlight that. Every community has their challenges, but we are very successful worldwide, and especially in the short amount of time that we've been outside of India. For us back home, I think the key is that we're very connected. There's a unity in our voice
Yeah.
behind community issues, and I think the same out here. You guys, your media obviously is well organized. I've realized that already this weekend. That stuff's important. Anytime you can control your narrative as a community and be able to get your voice out, that's very powerful.
Very powerful indeed, indeed. Okay, so I'm going to ask you a question now, and this is from my own personal experience and to other people out there who, who have got potential in a lot of areas, especially sport. Over here, soccer's big, the Premier League, but also we've got young people competing as amateur boxers, and we've got people trying to get towards the UFC who are competing in MMA. And every culture and every community has their problems. We can't deny the fact that we are now, 50 years ago, our parents come either Canada, they came to England, or they came to other countries. They emigrated, they worked hard, they worked daily, they saved, and they built a good future for us. So we are effectively affluent community now. And one of the problems that does come with that is, we have young people trying to aspire in sport, but then we have the negativity of being dragged away towards drink, towards drugs, towards, not even in that sinister environment, but people kind of saying to you, you're saying, I've got training today, and they're saying, why don't we go for some food? Why don't we go for a sizzler? Why don't we go to the pub? Why don't we have a drink? You're at someone's party and they're like, oh, it's my birthday, it's my wedding, just have one drink, have two drinks, and effectively taking you away from your goals. And that's something you had to obviously deal with from a young age. Like you've said, you fought in 30 different countries, and there's a lot of sports people there, here, UK, America, Sikhs around the world who have to deal with that struggle. How did you deal with it, and what advice would you have for people who do deal with those social pressures in our community?
It's not social pressure just in our community. It's not just in the environment of sport. It's everywhere in life. You can make the right business deals. You can make the shady business deals.
Yeah.
You can make an honest living, or you can steal and lie and cheat, and that's a delicate balance of life. That's at every turn. And then as that line blurs as you get closer to the certain decisions as well. But for me, it was always, again, my what I was taught growing up. If you want to be special, you want to be different, you want to accomplish someone no one else is, you can't be doing what everyone else is. Right. You have to be doing something different.
Yeah.
That's just the way it is. And you want to be the best in the world, you have to sacrifice more than anybody else in the world. That's simple math for me. And that reward was meant more to me than the pull of other, other stuff that was out there that you're alluding to. But the fact is, that's at every point in life, and I think sport allows you to develop confidence and a voice to be able to make those decisions accurately and when you need. You're disciplined. Obviously your confidence goes up as you get that success, and yourself and your own abilities. So many things are developed as an athlete that allows you to navigate situations like that.
Sure.
And that's why they say, athletes make the best, set themselves up for success beyond sport as well. Because a lot of those skills learned in sport set you up for many, many things, as long as you know how to leverage that type of stuff.
Looking from the outside, okay, so you won national championships, Commonwealth championships, Olympic team, then gone on to UFC. So looking from the outside, it looks like it's gone pretty smooth for you. But have you had difficult times? Have you had dark days? Have you ever fallen out of love with the sport? Have you had those times?
Yes. It's never smooth. The higher up you go, the shakier and the rockier it gets. That's impossible that it's not without challenges. It's because you can overcome those challenges that you get to that level. Otherwise, you don't have that fortitude inside to be able to break through, and because you have constant challenges on the daily in training, on the weekly, monthly, yearly. I've wanted to quit several times in wrestling. From the lowest to the highest, you felt that those types of things all the time. But the thing was, you just just work through this, and then we'll see. And then it was always, this is what I want to do. End of the day, for me, it was always I knew what I wanted to. No one was pushing me. I was pushing myself. I wanted to do it. That's the only way you get to the upper echelons in anything.
Yeah, definitely.
You have to have a passion for it and a drive for it.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you know, you're not willing to overcome what others are to get up there.
Yeah, definitely. You know, some really, really interesting things you've said there. One big question I've got for you, Arjun, is so you grew up in a wrestling background, from a wrestling family. As to be fair, quite a few people in the Punjabi community does. Why did you not go down the kabaddi route? It's lucrative to a certain degree. You know, it's big in the community, and it's something that I'm sure your family would have been proud of also, going down the kabaddi route. Why did you not go down that kabaddi route after your wrestling career?
Well, first and foremost, we're a wrestling family, not a kabaddi family.
Yeah.
So that was easy there. As I grew up also, and the game's changed, man. It's not like back in the day. Some of those things you're touching on, the negative aspects that our community's facing, are coming straight through that sport.
Yeah, definitely.
From the promoters on down to the players, from the homeland over to the diaspora. So I wouldn't want to be close to any of that type of stuff. And the fact that it's a teams thing, there's a lot of politics involved, at least in wrestling. If I don't want to do this or that, it doesn't matter as long as I go get my arm raised. Can't no one stop me. So the part where I can control my own destiny in a one-on-one sport is, again, what draws me to sports like wrestling, to MMA. I don't have to answer to nobody. I'm my own man.
Okay, so we're going to go on now and we're going to talk about your MMA career. So what made you then leave wrestling effectively as a career and then take up the MMA career? What was the decision making, you know, behind that?
Yeah, it was, you know what, the wrestling, like I said, in diapers, man, as you know, watching these guys train, then doing it myself. I had done it for 26 years up until the Olympic Games. And it was just something that I knew I had more to offer to the world and what I wanted to experience. You know, my driving, motivating factor here isn't fighting. It's to gain a platform to connect with a worldwide audience, to be to leverage that for life beyond sport, to do things I'm passionate about, to lend a voice to the voiceless, to do seva. That's the stuff that I really get fulfillment from. This is just an opportunity for me to do that. Okay. And I felt MMA provided me a greater opportunity to capture that audience. So, you know, this is the route I'm taking. And also, like I said, it was a little different, but I'm still able to use my wrestling training I've done for life, just in a different vein now.
Okay. So you talk about your wrestling training, using that in a different vein. So, you know, everyone's expecting you to be a takedown artist and to basically use your wrestling first and foremost in all your fights. I watched your debut in the UFC against Luis Enrique, and I seen you drop him with your hands, which was really, really impressive. Which is something that we probably didn't expect from you. We expect you to probably take him down, keep him there, ground and pound him, as wrestlers do. But but you dropped him with that shot. Is that something we can expect from you? What style are you looking to take into the UFC?
They might not expect that. You're my guy. You need to expect this.
I expected it.
Anyone on my side expected this.
No, we always expect the win. You know,
I'm messing with you.
Yeah.
It's that's coming from an Olympic wrestling background. Obviously, that's what everyone's gonna consider. It's just gonna be wrestling heavy. For me, when I got into this, the game plan was always I want to be able to stand with anybody. I don't want to go in there and be like I have to take someone down. That's the bonus. So that's where we've worked to develop the striking. In the heavyweight division, wrestlers dominate, and wrestlers that can strike dominate. Jiu-jitsu, largely you don't see too many subs. You know that if you can take someone down, you can grind on them, you can stand. You know you go a long ways in this sport. So I think we're on the right path.
Yep.
And I think the last fight is finally, you know, it's going to open eyes here. You're going to have to pick your poison. If I want to take you down, I'll take you down. If I want to drop you, I'll hurt you standing. It's going to be tough to deal with moving forward.
You know, I have to say, in that last fight, you look brilliant. You look good on your feet. Your wrestling looked good. Okay, everything all around looked good. So tell us a bit about the training for that fight. Where did you train? What did you do? You know, we've seen some UFC fighters, they stay at their base and they bring people in. We've seen people travel the world to make the most of facilities around the world. What did you do and why did you do it?
Facilities don't make champions. Training and sparring partners create champions. So for me, I split time between Vancouver and San Jose with AKA there.
Okay.
And I have been bringing people in for several fights now. So I will continue to do that. That's where my family is. That's where my home is. The longer and the deeper I get into this, the more I'll be bringing people in. But San Jose is great. It's a great measuring stick. One, it's a change of scenery. Two, they got the world's best heavyweights there. They know what they're doing, obviously, and it's a great measuring stick to know, okay, how am I developing? I'll go there, okay, I tighten this up when I get back to Vancouver, work on that, go again, and it's been a great formula so far.
And just on that subject, so there is a lot of great fights at AK San Jose. When you went there, first time you're going to a gym of that magnitude with that many UFC champions there, and champions from other organizations, were you nervous? How did it feel? Talk to us about that a little bit.
Not so much. It's funny because I knew DC, King Mo was there at that time. Some of these guys, I knew them from the wrestling scene.
Okay.
And then it's funny because now they're on TV and they're being treated differently,
Yeah.
but they're the same person. Like
Yep.
even 2 years ago that you knew from the you're just kicking it with them, and all of a sudden they're, But then the other part is, okay, they are the same people, but have they changed now because of that?
Yeah.
But I was so happy to see that it was business as usual with those guys.
Yeah.
They're so personable. I say it all the time. When I went in there, I went to TriStar first, then I went to AK. I was kind of trying to figure out where I want to drop my anchor. When I walked in first day, Cain Velasquez wrapped my hands.
Okay, wow.
Right, and he was champion at that time. I didn't know him from the wrestling scene because he
Yeah.
was on the college level. I knew DC, he was because from the world level, he was USA, I was
Olympic
Canada.
level, yeah.
And the guys that are on the world level, and I had a relationship with. So he didn't know me, and for him to do that and come out and shake my hand, like, hey, introduce himself, like I didn't know him,
Yeah, definitely.
that goes a long way, and that shows you if the guy at the top is willing to do that,
Yep.
then you're at the right place.
Yeah, definitely. That shows quite a lot. Okay, so when you signed for the UFC, there's Conor McGregor, for example. They signed him, and what he did, he effectively brought his whole country into the sport. Yes, there were guys before him competing in MMA and in UFC. Okay, but he really, he flew that flag for Ireland, not just for people in Ireland, but for the Irish all around the world. Do you think, to a certain degree, that's why you were brought into the UFC? Or would you say, it's just down to your abilities?
100% is down to my abilities. If it was that, there's other Indians out there.
Yeah,
They would've
sure
signed
there
him.
is. Yeah, definitely.
It was AK went to bat for me. The coach got me the contract.
Okay.
They looked at my Olympic pedigree background. I hadn't lost a round in any of my fights. I was undefeated. I think all that added up. If you've got all that and a world-class gym like AKA vouching for you, they're gonna go to bat. So for sure it was my skills. And second of all, the opportunity to carry your people on your back and create that the UFC wants that market, and it's the biggest market in the world. You talk about Ireland. Ireland's like this: 6 million people on a tiny little island. We're worldwide. So it's exciting.
Do you feel like myself and people who I know and all the fight fans, Punjabi fight fans around the world, we all stayed up, we're all excited when you got signed. We all stayed up to watch you fight. Everyone's talking about you. You are a very, very big deal to our community all over the world. Do you've obviously got experience from your wrestling days, but this is on a lot bigger scale now with the UFC. Do you feel that pressure? Do you know there's like people all around the world waiting up for your fight, glued to their phones, waiting for results? Do you feel that pressure, Arjun?
No, there's no such thing as pressure. If you can't touch it, you can't taste it, you can't smell it, it's not a real thing. It's all in your head. It's perspective, how you look at it, how you deal with it, how big or small you want to make it. For me, like you just said, it's a bigger deal than wrestling. Why is that? For wrestling, I trained. When I went to go compete, it's the same size mat, just a bigger crowd, more lights. Just like the UFC, I train in a cage. I do the same thing on a daily basis. But now just because people are waking up to see me do it on a certain day of the weekend, it's the same thing. I do that on a daily. I could live stream you from my gym. You can see me do it every day, no problem. So that's the perspective I take.
Okay. But do you understand, and do you know that you're an inspiration to a lot of people? How does that make you feel? So you got from young kids, they've now got someone to aspire to. We haven't had someone on the world level of boxing scene, but you are the biggest combat Punjabi sports athlete in the world, and you know them young people at school who maybe Punjabis who struggle with confidence, or even the older people who used to compete or used to train who kind of don't anymore, maybe they start going back to the gym. And for a lot of people across a lot of walks of life, Punjabis, you're a big inspiration to them. You know, what message have you got for the young people, for the people who used to train, and just for the Punjabis across all the world? You're carrying all our hopes. What message have you got for all of us in regards to our own daily lives and our own training?
Well, first of all, you know, I say it all the time. I studied lots of great athletes over the years, read plenty of biographies, and you know, success leaves clues. So I wanted to pick those up along the way, and you know, it didn't go over my head that I couldn't open up a book and read about a Sikh athlete, an Indian athlete, and any of that. So that was a driving factor for me. I wanted, if I can do that for the next generation, if they can go and read a book or whatever, you know, research on an athlete that comes from the same background as them, looks like them, talks like them, lives like them, eats like them, same culture, same family, and that sparks something inside someone, then you've done, you know, something, then you've created progress and growth. So if I can do that, that's fantastic. And number two, messages, lots of messages, you know, to the kids. You know, the biggest thing for me was I had to figure out who I was. When I figured that out, then I could figure out what I wanted. So figure out who you are, stop listening to other people, stop allowing other people to live through you or to tell you how to live. Those are mere suggestions. Take that and think for yourself and figure out what you want for yourself in your life. And then, you know, spend as much time, energy as possible chasing that and creating that life for yourself. You know, life's honestly, I've lost some people that shouldn't have passed in the way and time that they have.
Yep.
And so nothing's guaranteed in this world. So you know, for as long as you're here, do it on your terms. Why not? And parents and you know, support your kids. You know, it was a great deal to me. Every game I ever, from basketball to football to wrestling around the world, my parents were there. They're around the world to help because my mom worked for the airline. But when I was younger, it especially meant a big deal because as a kid, all you want to do is go look up and see your parents in the stands, bring a smile to their face, make them feel proud. That has an impact. So, you know, if your parents sitting in the car just dropped you off or sitting on their phone, you know, that has an impact. It's, you know, be mindful, be present while you're there with your kid. It makes a difference.
Okay, we're just running out of time now, so just final two questions. Number one is, tell us what's next with the UFC. When's your next fight scheduled?
So I'm heading out to India tomorrow. Once I get back on the 17th, we're going to kind of sit down with the company and figure something out. We're targeting January, February.
Okay, and then when can we next see you here in the UK?
I will be here November 24th and 25th. Folks from the Jet Singh Trust are putting together a couple events for me to get the community together up in London and in the Midlands. So get in touch with them, and I will be posting online about it once they get me the full details. And I hope to connect more with the community at that time.
Okay, thank you. I mean, you've given such an insight into your career, into your passions, into your motivations, into, you know, your connection with your Sikhi, which is huge, you know, to everyone here, and it's an inspiration. You're an inspiration to me and many others. You know, we will follow your career as diligently as possible. And just finally, I'd like to say thank you for coming onto the Sikh channel and giving this interview, and hopefully we have you back, and we just wish you all the best on your career, and hopefully you fly that flag all the way to the top for us. So a big thank you to you, and a big thank you to all the viewers. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.